the best name that anybody can call me. My name is Mashilah, but being called mommy, nothing can compare. Above all, that's my favorite title. Nothing can compare to my name, Mashilah, Shai, Shantae, Shyla. Nothing can compare to somebody calling you mommy. And that's the first thing, even when I go to a job interview, I make sure that they understand, hey, I'm a mother above anything. So anything that comes up with my children, they're going to come first, just because I didn't have that growing up. I did for a certain amount of time, but then it was taken from me. So that's who I am. I describe also myself as a poet. People always say, you are so positive. Why do you smile? You smile every day. You have a big, vibrant smile. And I'm like, yes, because you don't know what a smile can do for someone. So just by smiling, you can make someone's day turn all the way around. Well, let's start with just growing up. I grew up here in Oklahoma. I was born in Indiana. Before I was born, I moved to Oklahoma with my mother and my sisters. I have two older sisters who I love dearly, Courtney and Keisha. And I grew up here until I was about 10, 11 years old. My mother, she got caught up in the crack epidemic. And my 6th grade year at Hoover Middle School, she abandoned us in a house. She never came back. So that summer, going into my 7th grade year, they moved us to Indiana to go live with my dad. And my dad, after being there for about a month and a half, he left, the crazy story, for milk. He really did. And he robbed a convenience store to get us some milk and some money. And he never came back. So then we were abandoned in the house for a while. And then my grandparents, who live in Kokomo, Indiana, because we moved to Marion, Indiana, where my dad stayed. And then my grandparents from Kokomo, Indiana, pulled up to the house and said, you're coming with us, which what we thought was supposed to be a summer turned out to be all of my middle school year, all of my high school, and that's where I went to college at Indiana University. While I was in college, I was sexually assaulted multiple times, so I decided to drop out. Move back home to move back home to Oklahoma, and my granny was sick. And that's who I predominantly stayed with while I was growing up, when my mom was in her addiction. And that next year, on December the 14th of 2010, my grandmother passed away. I found a guy that I thought he was the world, and I got pregnant, and the relationship became abusive. That was in 2010. So in order to cope with the abuse, I started to drink to pass out, so I would not, so I could just sleep. There would even be times where he would be walking down the hallway and it's dark and he likes to play video games. And I turn the corner and he scared me. He'd be like, and I get scared. He'd say, you scary bitch. Just to torment me. There's times where I didn't have dinner ready. He would pour a whole jug of water on me and tell me to hurry up. So I would drink. And then when he started to abuse me, I would run away and get in my car. And that's what caused me to get my DUIs. So just as much as I want to blame him, I have to blame myself, because you have a choice. And with having a broken family, I wanted my son to have both of his parents in his life. So I chose to stay. And then in November the 4th of 2018, it was the last day he put his hands on me. And I made that decision for myself. And I said, I'm not happy, and my son can see it. And as much as I want him to be happy by having both of his parents, I'm hurting his heart. And I didn't look back. I was in the drug DUI program here in Oklahoma with Judge Stoner. It's a great program. I was doing so well. I found a nice gentleman, a guy. Then in March of 2020, he was murdered. And it kind of set me back. I was working at the VA hospital. I had a good job. It's not like I was a drunk. I didn't have an addiction. I had a coping mechanism. And when he passed away, I reverted back to the only thing that I knew. Growing up, I saw my mother, my grandmother deal with their problems by picking up a bottle. So that's what I did. And it's not right. It's not okay to drink and drive. I'm very blessed to not have ever hurt anyone, because that would have probably killed me, knowing that I hurt somebody's family. And God kept telling me, I'm saving you after the first one. I'm saving you after the second one. I'm saving you after the third one. And then I met another guy. We love those knuckleheads. I'm not saying anybody's a knucklehead, just the ones that I chose. But I thought he was great. He was just another narcissist and another manipulator. And I did not see that because I was hurt and I just wanted somebody to love me. We got engaged. I got pregnant. He started abusing me. He choked me out one time. I was on the floor and I woke up hours later. And finally, when I woke up, he was in the living room just watching TV. It's like, oh, you're finally back to earth now. And I start coping, being pregnant, coping with alcohol, knowing that that is not right. I knew it wasn't right, but I didn't know what else to do. He told me to go get an abortion because our child was going to be deformed and disabled and mentally retarded. I went to Kansas to go get an abortion. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I'm sitting there on that chair, and they walk out, and it's a steel table, and they say, "Hey, go ahead and get undressed. We'll be back." I left out that room. I left out of the facility after signing all that paperwork. And I went to the liquor store and I got a bottle. And I drove back to Oklahoma City. And I got arrested for my 4th DUI. And I knew I was going to prison. I was revoked from the program because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I was in the county jail, pregnant. It's terrible. The Oklahoma County Jail is terrible. I slept in a room. It was A7 on it was the 13th floor, because that's where they keep all the pregnant and medical and psychiatric people, mental health. So it's not like I got good sleep because I have the other side of the pod is mental health. So they're up all night. I slept on the floor because there was already 2 people in the room. One, she was on top bunk, which she's not supposed to be because she has seizures. There was another pregnant girl on the bottom bunk, and I was on the floor. I was there. They did not give me the food and nutrition that you should have as a pregnant woman. I know that I'm not supposed to be in jail pregnant, but at the same time, if I'm here in a facility that is state-owned, you should take care of your pregnant people. We didn't get cheese or milk ever. They would remember our pregnancy snacks sometimes. We'd ask for them, are we going to get our apple and peanut butter? Well, you'll have to ask next shift. Next shift wouldn't even come. They wouldn't give it to us. Oh, well, they were supposed to give it to you last shift. On June the 4th, which was on my son's birthday, and I promised him that I would call him on his birthday, I got moved to Mabel Bassett Correctional Center, so I couldn't even speak to my son on his birthday. I got arrested on April the 10th of 2021. I got moved to Mabel Bassett for A&R, assessment and receiving, on June the 4th of 2021. Going to prison pregnant was scary. Mabel Bassett Correctional Center is the maximum security prison for the state of Oklahoma. I didn't understand why they would send a pregnant woman to a maximum security prison. And you expect me to defend myself? During rec or when the yard is open, everyone's out. The gates are open. So that means I have people who have maximum crimes, all the way to the minimum crimes, that are all around me. They don't care that you're pregnant. You're trying to walk through a door and something is going on. They bumping right into you. They don't care. It was one time, and I had my daughter in prison on September the 16th. But it was in September that I was beating on the door because the case managers, they don't care about you. They don't. They want to keep you there. They want to, oh, I'm going to drop your level to a level 1 if you keep banging on this door. I'm saying I need to go to medical. You're fine. You're just pregnant. No, I'm hurting. You're fine. I'm hurting. They don't care. I remember one time that they forgot to give me my breakfast. So by the time I got out of my doctor's appointment, breakfast was over, lunch was over. And they said, well, you just have to wait for dinner. Don't you have commissary? I'm a pregnant woman. And you tell me that I have commissary because you forgot to feed me. On the day I had to go deliver my daughter, because they don't, they make you go to the hospital and they induce your labor at 39 weeks. One of the nurses at OU, because they go to OU, one of the nurses at OU, she was trying to put the needle in my arm. And I told her, I said, can you do this arm? Because I know that I have a great vein. I know what I'm doing. I said, can you at least turn the light on? She kept saying, I'm like, it's hurting, it's hurting. Oh my gosh, you're just being a baby. And I yanked my arm from her and I said, can I get somebody else? She looked at the guard and said, are you going to allow her to do this? I'm a human being. All I did was ask you to turn the light on. I'm not being rude. I'm not being mean. The guard said, can you just please get someone else? Because obviously you're not doing something right. Another nurse comes in. The other nurse isn't there. She turns the light on. It wasn't even a vein right there. You see me in a guard in orange jumpsuit. And you feel like you can judge me? You don't know what I'm here for? Because the only difference between me and somebody else is because you didn't get caught, okay? Just because I'm in prison. There's many a times where I'm pretty sure people have gotten behind the wheel of a car, not all the way there and impaired, and you are judging me and you don't even know what my crime is. So she came in and she did it in the arm that I asked her to because she could see the vein just it's sticking right out. Like all I did was ask her, I know which vein is good for you. Let's go ahead and do it here. I had my daughter and I got to stay with her for 2 days. And then I had to go back to prison by myself. My baby went to my cousin, Karen, who I'm very thankful for being able to take my baby, because if she did not, my baby could be in the system. And then I would have hoops and loops to try to get her back. I was sentenced to 5 years, a 3 in, 2 out. After I left Mabel Bassett in December, on December the 14th, which is crazy because the dates, they add up. On December the 14th, which is the day that I said my grandmother passed away, was the day that I got transferred to a minimum security, which was OKCCC here in Oklahoma City. And then I got transferred again to OROC, which is the work release. And then I got told that I got administrative parole. I was the happiest person in the world. I kept praying to God that I got out before my daughter was 6 months, and I got out before my daughter was 6 months. But the power of prayer works. When I say I was in there and I made my own money by braiding her, making people food. When I say that we don't have stoves and a stovetop, ovens, we got a microwave. We got water. You make it happen. Making quesadillas, um, burrito logs, tamales, whatever, fried rice. Fried rice, you never know you can make some fried rice out of some noodles. But I made my own money by helping other people. I would sew, sit there, and women would want underwear. And then prison, you get the white underwear, which are like this long. So it's going way up here. And they will want something that just felt a little bit more feminine. So I would cut them, stretch them, sew them so they would have underwear that fit them better. So being able to make someone else smile just by something as simple as them having some underwear that they feel comfortable in made me feel good. I would sew bonnets because I am ethnic and having our hair secure is something that we would like. I would sew people bonnets out of the elastic, extra elastic that I would have from people's underwear for the elastic on the bonnet. I would make people's shirts where they would tailor in a little bit. So it felt more feminine. Or their sweatpants, instead of some big sweatpants that men will wear, I would tailor them in to where women will want joggers or they will want something a little bit more fitted. So in prison, once I got to OROC, when I got that information that I got administrative parole, it made my day. I was released on March the 2nd of 2022 on administrative parole. I got to see my son that exact same day. I did not leave my sister's house until the first person I saw was my son, because that's all I wanted to see. That's all I wanted to see. And then that weekend, I saw my daughter, and I got to get her back. And after I left prison, I decided I wanted to change some things. So that's what I did. My very first step was trying to get a job, of course. And I knew it was going to be hard because that scarlet letter of an F that I have on my back and on my chest is always going to be seen. I got out on March the 6th, and after getting acclimated back to everything, getting my ID, trying to get things in place, on March the 8th, I walked to the Del Rancho off 23rd. He said, "Are you able to start tomorrow?" I started work on March the 9th. I only got out March the 2nd. I was trying to hit the ground running. My cousin kept my daughter for me for just like a month so I could get myself in the hang of things. In that time frame, I got back in school to get my CNA because I knew working at Del Rancho is not going to cut it. $10 an hour is not going to cut it. I'm only working 5 hours a day, $10 an hour. That's $50 an hour. I'm paying somebody $25 an hour to watch my daughter every time I go to work. That means I'm only making $25 a day. I got to figure something out. So I went back to school, even if I had to, catch a ride, because I wasn't about to be caught behind the dead of a wheel of a car, being on parole, and just getting out of prison. I got my driver's license back. I did everything that I had to do. Like I said, I only got out March the 2nd. When I say that I worked my tail off to get to exactly where I needed to be, I did that. I went back to school to get my CNA. I got my CNA license on April the 14th. On April the 29th, I got myself a car, and I continued to progress because I was not going to let anybody tell me what I cannot do, because I've been told what I cannot do the whole time I'm in prison. But getting a place was hard. Finding a job was hard. Not all nursing home wanted to work with a felon. Well, we don't feel comfortable with working with a felon. I had that letter on my back and on my chest. Or finding an apartment. Getting to an apartment place, it's like, oh, great, okay. They said that they accept felons. I call them, hey, I do have a felony. It's 4 DUIs. Or is that okay? Oh, yeah, it's nonviolent. It's fine. How much is the application fee? Okay, I pay that. I pay $35 or $45 or $40 or $50 or $55 or $60 sometimes. Just for them to say, oh, well, we don't accept felons. I just paid y'all money I don't have for you to tell me you don't accept felons when I told you I was a felon from the beginning. You put me back out in this world without giving me any resources, without giving me any leadway. You tell me that, oh, well, we want you to be able to be on your job at least for, 2 to 3 years. We want you to make 3 times as much as the rent. But I can pay my rent. I have my deposit. No, I'm sorry. We need you to be on your job for at least 2 to 3 years. I can tell you I kept my bunk clean. I could tell you my 6 feet of space was always clean and everything was organized. But no, that does not suffice. Well, I did so speaking with the organization team, Ms. Chris Steele, at a church. I'm not going to name names. And they helped me get a place. In February, I moved in, February the 9th of 2023. Everything was going well. And then I lost custody of my son and I went back into a depression. His father got full custody because I'm the addict. I'm the person that looks bad. Lost my job, was without a job for 3 months. Almost lost my place. Tried to get everything in place to get my rent paid, and I was still behind $525. And I got evicted last month. I moved out on August the 28th, and now I'm currently living with my cousin. And now I'm starting back over. But it's okay. Because God gives his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers. And I don't know if everybody believes in God, but I do. I believe in a God. No matter what God anybody believes in, I believe in mine. If I would have gotten rehab, would I have been to prison? If that young girl would have gotten help as a child, would she have been to prison? And that's what hurts me the most, is knowing that a lot of people should not be in there. But when they get out, they're going to have to deal with the same things that I'm dealing with. And if they can't get help, the help that they need, they're going to revert back to what they know. But what tools did I get set up with when I got out? Nothing. And it just hurts. Because no matter where I go, as soon as they ask that question, I have to answer it. One thing that needs to change is the way that we look at people. When people get arrested, instead of treating them like any criminal, put a social worker in there by themselves. Let them have that one-on-one time. Maybe they might open up to someone. Would I have still been in that same situation if a social worker would have helped me get out of my abusive relationship? But no, my abusive partner picked me up from from jail, I'm sorry. But nobody would have known that because nobody asked. It takes for people to care. Just because somebody comes in and they're hallucinating and you don't know what's going on, they might be rambunctious or volatile. Give them some time to sober up or whatever is going on. I'm not saying that that was my instance, but I've seen it before. And then when they come to, they can be of sound mind and let you know what's going on. Because you don't know what somebody might have done to them for them to be in that state. They might have not have done that to themselves. Oklahoma needs to care more, and they need to invest in the process of and jail intake. Officers, for the first and foremost, they have to understand. Do not just assume. In my story, I would not have been in the situation that I was in if I just would have had people that listened. I talked to his mother, my son's father's mother, and she knew that he was beating on me. But her response was, just stick it out. He's going to be great someday. Not having my mom, not having my sisters really around like that. Is that something you should tell a young woman who is dating your son? It's okay, just stick it out. So if people actually cared to hear someone's story, maybe you can prevent things that happen to them in their future. After my mom got into her addiction, I stayed with my granny all the time. I loved my granny. She would wake me up every morning and I already had my bath water ready. She had my clothes ironed. She'd do my hair in a ponytail. And just being with my granny was amazing. And when when my mom actually left us in the house and we realized she wasn't coming back after we had that last, there was no more sandwiches. We just had peanut butter and syrup. And when I say that's real, people are like, oh, when they say it's a thing, no, it's a real thing when you have to live through it. When my oldest sister is climbing on top of the cabinet to see if we got any more peanut butter up there, because, that's one thing that you can get from pantries. She put that peanut butter and syrup in a bowl, and me and my two sisters were taking bites. I said, I'm going to Granny house, because that was my sanctuary. And my granny means the world to me. So that is where I would like you guys to see where that's my house. Don't let your life stop shining. Don't let your dreams just die. You keep one foot in front of the other, and you know what? You hold your head up high. Don't let this world overcome you. Do not hide and wither away. You keep a smile on your face every hour of every day. Because you are never too young and you are never too old, so be brave and courageous as you let your dreams unfold. Do not try to measure up to others. That is not for you to do. People are going to fall in love with you for what? Simply being you. Don't be timid, shy, or bashful. There's no need to be coy. You can do anything you set your mind to. You are not the devil's toy. I'm not telling you what to do. I just hope you understand that when God reaches out to pick you up, all you have to do is give him your hand.